Hello and welcome, everybody. We are super excited about today's live stream. If you've been following us, you know that our theme for August, and it's probably going to expand because these are such fun conversations, is next level love. And we finally get to have a real live interview with another real live couple who has figured some shit out and is going to share their story about next level love. Y'all, I am so excited to introduce the wonderful and lovely Byron and Margaret. Byron, let me just tell you a little bit about these two amazing people. Byron is a hardworking, loving husband and father who enjoys building things, music, and motorcycles. Margaret is a creative, dedicated wife and mother who enjoys reading, crocheting, and learning new things. And together, this power couple co-hosts the Beyond I Do podcast, where they share about their journey through 26 whole years of marriage and share tips on creating and maintaining a lasting partnership. They are passionate, like us, about helping others. And they even recently published their very first book, Unlocking Forever 10 Keys to a Successful Marriage Beyond I Do. Congratulations, by the way, that's huge.
Thank you.
And they're in the process of training to become relationship coaches. Although let's be real, they have the experience and the know-how to already do it. They're just getting the credentials so that people like believe in them, but they already know their shit. So Margaret and Byron emphasize the importance of their friendship in marriage and believing that while love is natural, maintaining that deep friendship takes effort and is what makes a marriage last. So welcome, Byron and Margaret. We are so honored to have you here and sharing with us. We would love for you to tell us a little bit about yourself and your story and what makes, first of all, what makes your love a next level love?
Well,
Over to you.
I don't know if I can follow.
Yeah. Look, the
Can I
introduction.
live up to that?
The introduction that you
You
gave.
already are. Don't you doubt
At first,
yourself.
I'm like, who the heck is she talking about?
It's so surreal. You say the title of the book and you
Yes.
congratulate us, and I think we're still kind of like we still look at it and giggle, but so we have been married for 26 years. We were best friends before when we were in high school. We were close and maintained a close friendship. And at 22 and 23, we ended up getting married one week and giving birth to our first son, our first child the next. So we have been parents pretty much our whole relationship. And as you know, parenting brings on another level.
Mhm.
So from the very beginning, we had to put our relationship first. I'm sorry, there are comments popping up from my list.
Yes.
Thanks for commenting, y'all. Margaret's getting caught off track.
Yeah.
But that's
Love you, Britt.
love you too.
Love it.
So we had to decide to put our relationship first, and that's what we've done. We love our kids. We have 4 children, and I teach. And throughout the years, we have kind of picked up kids along the way that we still are very close with. But through it all, we had to be intentional and focused on maintaining our relationship. And we found that our friendship was the key to doing that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Do you want to add anything else, Byron?
Well, she just brushed over the part that when we first
Brush
met. We first met. We actually met through a mutual friend that she had a crush on. One of my friends, and
They didn't ask all that.
It's fun context.
we're all about transparency,
Yes,
and I
we
just
are.
want to give them real. So it started out on what is the picture it? Augusta, no, she like one of my friends, and he was going through a breakup, and so when we first met, she doesn't remember this, but my friend was like, "Hey man, I want to go around the corner and visit my friend Margaret." We were at my house. I'm like, "This is my neighborhood. I don't know Margaret." So I was like, "I got to go see who this is." So walking around the corner, of course she's got bubbly eyes for him. So I'm like,
Mm.
standing there. I'm like, okay, she looks nice. And then never saw her for probably. Let me see. I saw her probably about a couple of months later, and she was introduced to me. She was around some other friends of ours, and we had the same friend group. So we started talking to each other. Conversation just kind of jived,
Mm.
and we called ourselves dating at one point in time. But I'll be honest, I was trying to be a player,
Mm.
and I got caught up in that situation. So, but we remain friends. I was thank you, baby, for
You're welcome.
continuing to be
You're
my friend.
welcome.
Supposed to leave me alone,
I
but
was. You were so bad at trying to be wrong.
I
I knew that you just didn't have it in you.
player is not in everybody. It wasn't in me.
No.
But we, through the years, she was just a person that, in my life, when she would call me and I would be excited to talk to her, it's like I would drop everything,
Mhm.
no matter what I was doing. All right, Margaret on the phone. I got to talk to her. I could be dating somebody and be talking to them and be like, hey, I got to get on the phone. I got to talk
Margaret's
to my
calling.
friend, and just, we liked each other for real back then, but
Mm.
nobody wanted to.
You were okay.
Mm.
You're on
It
me.
was on me.
But even then, it was the friendship.
Yes.
Yeah, I hear that.
Our groups would kind of hang out together, and we would
Mhm.
always end up next to each other talking and laughing, and it was that friendship that helped
Yep.
us
Sure did.
get through the tough times and the challenges.
Mhm.
Like I said, 22 and 23, and we are married with a child
Yep.
all within a week. And
You guys are still children at 22 and 23.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. There have been many apologies to my son. I'm sorry, that's not what
Yeah, no.
what was supposed to happen. Um, and now that he's 26, he realizes the magnitude of parenthood at that age.
That's good.
And he realizes we did the best that we could with what we had, and as do all of our children. They understand that there were growing
And
pains.
to show you the level of maturity we had at that time, we were married on the 13th of December. He was born on the 20th of December. And we brought in the New Year at the club.
Oh, gee.
Priorities were right on point. But
Uh-huh.
we learned. He
Mhm.
all the kids kind of we grew up with us, and we knew that okay, we had to buckle down and be responsible parents. So it was like had to put ourselves to the side a little bit. Let's
Mhm.
raise, because the goal was to raise wonderful human beings,
Right,
which is what they are, all of
they
them.
are.
And
They
I
are.
really just
Mhm.
appreciate that about
Mhm.
them.
Mhm. Well, and you mentioned that you picked up kids along the way.
Right.
Yes.
Maybe you want to say a little bit about what that means, because it's a different way than most people will talk about expanding their
Well,
family.
that's so we do have we had two birth children. We have two adopted children, and then we call them godchildren, but we have unofficial adopted children. Like I said, some of my students who are um, grown adults at this point, but we're still mom and pops. They
Mm.
still call when they need help, guidance, what have you.
Yeah.
We've had godchildren who have lived with us off and on, depending on circumstances.
Mhm.
We just wanted to provide that safe space.
Mhm.
Um, And you know, these kids are in their 30s now.
Yeah, yeah.
So I can't imagine, you know, these days going through some of the things that kids go through. But then we just wanted to be a safe space because there's so much access to any and everything.
Yeah.
And if you don't have an adult providing some level of guidance and structure, it could go left quickly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So kids can apply a lot of pressure to relationships, especially when you're younger and you're also still trying to figure life out. So
Mm-hmm.
can you share a little bit more about um I don't know, the stuff you had to fight through, but maybe also like what made you successful in like keeping your connection, staying on the same team?
Being
What was the
friends.
rest of, yeah, staying
Mm-hmm.
connected?
Yeah. How did you do that with being so young and having all these kids in your life that you're also trying to support?
Well, I think that, first of all, um, I was never the type to have a role, so to speak. People have these gender roles or
Mm.
what the man should do and what the woman should do.
Mhm.
Those don't exist to us. It's like, because I'm
Mm.
just it needs to be done. Let's get it done.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
we started out like with our son. I worked, she wasn't working. Uh,
We
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 had a
made the
routine. I would get up with him and feed him.
we made the worst deal
The
The
that
worst deal.
I figured since I was home. I'm
worst
like,
for you.
okay, right. During the week, I'll get up with him, and you get up with him on the weekends.
Yeah,
About a week and a half into that, I didn't like him very
yeah.
much,
She's looking at me sideways. Yeah,
but
but I
he
mean,
we
bottles,
contributed.
changing
Right,
diapers.
right.
I mean, as a first time parent, I was excited about doing those things because I had so many nieces and nephews.
Mm.
I'm the youngest of 10 children, so
Wow.
I had so many nieces and nephews growing up, and I got to experience helping raising them. So it's like this is my child. Now I get to really be a part, 100%. So I was ready to go all in. And so it's just a matter of just doing what it took to be done. And if she was sick, okay, I got the baby. We don't want to get him sick.
Mhm.
Um, just and
Mhm.
it just had that. We play off of each other. She could see that I was getting frustrated. Well, let me get the baby for a while. You go, cool off, do what you need to do, and vice versa. So we just did that for each other.
We also, like I said, the relationship comes first.
Yep.
And so we were very intentional about at night when the kids are in bed, that was our time to debrief
Yep.
and tried to have non-children conversation. We tried to, even now, we have specific TV shows that we watch. We have things that we do that are just us being together, spending time together. Um, like he said, I didn't work after my son was born. I didn't work for a few years. And then when a few years later our daughter was born, I didn't work. And it was never, he never expected I'm going to come home to a clean house and a hot dinner because you're home all day. He was
Mm.
very respectful of you're home all day with a child or with kids.
Mhm.
I may come home and you may be tired
Yep.
because you may have done more today than I did, and so I never felt like, well, let me back that up. I never felt that way because of him. I
Mhm.
felt that way. I felt like I needed to do more because of society and
Right,
because
your own
own
programming.
right,
Selfish pressure.
Mhm.
right.
Mhm.
He never made me feel that way. In fact, he was the one who comforted me with, I understand you're tired. And he also, if there were things that when it became too much for him, he spoke up. I can't
Mhm.
do this, or I'm too tired to do this. I need for you to do this.
Mhm.
And so we had to put feelings aside and just be real with it. I couldn't get my feelings hurt because he said I needed to do this. I needed to be realistic and do it.
Yep.
Um, and that's been helpful.
And that might have meant that we might have different flavors of hamburger helper all week.
Yeah, fun week.
Yep, as long as we were
As long as we're
eating. And so that was the thing we shared. We knew that things had to be done. We had to
Yep.
eat, so someone was going to cook. We had to have clean clothes. Someone was going to do laundry. That was another bad agreement we made. He said, "Who was it? Were you the one supposed to fold and put away laundry, and I was supposed to wash and dry?"
Yep.
Yeah, he doesn't fold and put away laundry. So I don't know how he ended
I
up with
do.
that role.
Just on my own time.
You're right. Time he does it, they're balled up in the same shape as the basket. So, but we've had we've tried different things like that and tried to make. I think both of us try to make things easier on the other.
Yes.
So
Nice.
sometimes it's like, no, stop. I need to do this, or I need to
Yeah.
have this level of stress to motivate me to do this. But we always try to make things easier for each other. And I think that just goes back to respecting that relationship and wanting that relationship to
And
work.
trust me, we had plenty of yo-yo nights.
Yeah, on your
You're on
own.
your own. What you gonna eat?
Yep.
You had you some cereal, I'm gonna eat these ramen noodles.
Yep.
Kids will have chicken nuggets.
Yep.
Frozen chicken nuggets. I'm putting them in the
Absolutely.
oven. We
So,
gonna-
so the yo-yo nights, those are for the kids or for one another?
The
everybody.
household.
The household.
Everybody.
You're on your own.
Everybody's on their own.
Fend for
I like
yourself.
it. We should start implementing that, Cal.
We always
Yeah.
made sure that there were things, depending on the age of the child, we made sure there were things available that they could get to and take care of themselves.
I mean, we asked them, hey, you want some nuggets? You want, some noodles?
Mm-hmm.
My daughter, she tended to want it what I wanted, so I just make some extra noodles. My son, he wanted the nuggets. She get whatever she want, and we good. Yeah.
Yeah. We talk, we communicate,
Yeah.
we write each other if it's something difficult that talking is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I grew up in a very chaotic environment. And so for me, conflict makes me so uneasy. I need to address it. I need processing time, but I need to know that everything is okay. So even if we have to get to a point of okay and then come back to it later, I have to know that everything is okay. And so when it comes to conflict, like we have to clear that up to an extent where I'm feeling comfortable.
Yeah.
And we've done that, and it's sometimes it's difficult, it's awkward. Like I said, we've learned that we can write things out. We'll send long text messages. At one point, iPhone would like break it into two.
Yeah.
You remember that?
So
I'm a long text writer too.
Second one first.
you
like,
right. What is wait?
wait on the person.
So we would, text and things like that to make sure that if there's unease there, and I'm one that he'll, he knows, oh gosh, here she goes. Like, is there something you need to tell me? Anytime there's unease, we've gotta clear it up.
A lot of times my pause will be like, what did I do?
Wow. So I just want to like take a second to reflect and consolidate some of the like beautiful nuggets of wisdom that y'all are sharing, because I really want people to walk away with this. And a lot of it is like is gold, right? Like putting your relationship first and maintaining a friendship. Yeah, I think most people are like, we get that, generally speaking. But what then does that look like? One of the things I'm hearing from y'all is that you have been a solid team throughout your life,
Yes.
right? You honor that we're on the same team. There is not your job and my job. It's all our job. And in fact, part of my job is making your job easier.
Right.
I freaking love that. If everybody could just like, if you're listening, write this down. How can I make it easier for my partner?
Right.
We embody that. Like that's team mentality. That's like we're working on this together. Even if it's like, I want you to listen better to me. How can I make it easier for you to
Right.
do that?
Right.
Exactly.
Right?
Right.
That is just such gold. So I wanted to say that. I want to like really celebrate that you said, Byron, that like gender roles didn't exist for you.
Right.
I'm actually hearing a lot of that
Mhm.
in the conversations we're having with Next Level Love folks who like want to share their stories. Is there's especially in heterosexual relationships,
Mm-hmm.
the Next Level Love folks, like their men are not the stereotypical traditional man.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
They like step into responsibility, into compassion and care, into softness and vulnerability,
Accountability.
accountability, and
Mhm.
really supporting their women.
Right.
And that makes me think about, some of, I don't know if y'all have heard of John Gottman.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
most people have, right? Especially if you're in the relationship space. But
Mhm.
Right.
John Gottman's research has found that like one of the top contributing factors to relationship success is the man's ability to be influenced by
Mm-hmm.
his wife in
Mhm.
heterosexual relationships, right? Like sharing power
Right.
and taking into consideration her experience. Not that women also don't have to be influenced by our men or our
Right.
partners, but like there's something about that dynamic specifically for heterosexual couples that is a game changer in
Mm-hmm.
creating greater ease, connection, love, and resilience through
Mm-hmm.
the things that life brings. So
Uh-huh.
I love hearing that is also something that the two of you have experienced in this team friendship based relationship that you have navigated for like over a quarter of a century.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
uh,
Amazing.
and then the other thing that I just want to that really struck me um, is this idea of like not having expectations
Right.
for each
Right.
other.
Mm.
Right.
I think that's a paradigm shift for a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people. They have a lot of
Mm-hmm.
expectations about what should be done by the time I get
Right.
home, or how the kids should be raised, or what we should be eating for dinner, and we
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
should all over ourselves and
For
our
some,
partners.
yeah, for some relationships, like that is the baseline of what their
Mm-hmm.
conversations are about, is what I
Mhm.
Right.
expect of you,
Yeah.
especially in the ones that like we're interacting with, needing
Mm-hmm.
to repair, right? Because they're just
Yep.
throwing expectations at
Exactly.
each other.
Right.
Mhm.
And that's, you know, the expectations that we have is that we want to love on each other and
Mm.
like each other and enjoy each other. And if that means that I cut the grass once, but if that
Yeah.
means that we step in and do those things, that's what we do.
Mhm. Yep.
Mhm.
um, it just I can't worry about what the outside people, society, what have you. We can't worry about those things because we're trying
Yep.
to be a happy, healthy couple. And in
Mhm.
order to do that, we
Right.
we have to go to each other first. And so if there's something that's going on, once we have it settled and we're okay,
Mm.
I'm cool with whatever anyone else has to say or
Yes.
think, as long as we're okay.
The
Mhm. Yeah, that
is
becomes a priority.
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
main thing that I'm hearing this word, and it's becoming my new favorite word. Is called it's intentional. Being
Mm-hmm.
intentional about your relationship, being
Yes.
intentional about checking in, and being intentional about making sure that your partner hears you,
Mm-hmm.
um, or you're hearing your partner, listening to what they're saying,
Yeah.
and not always listening to respond, but listening to what they're saying.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, people will give up, and I cannot understand the life of me, and I may be wrong. I hope I don't step on anybody's toes. But when people are together, then they break up, and they remarry again, and they break up again. It's like, well, in that first time, did you put everything in, or
Yeah.
what were you doing in that first point? Were you giving everything? Did you try something different with each
Mhm.
group? I think a lot of times people, well, this is just me. This is where I am.
Yeah.
If you're not involving, then something is wrong with you.
Mhm.
Yes.
But
I love that.
Yeah.
we
Let's
always,
say that again. If you're not evolving,
yeah,
Right.
something is wrong.
right.
Right.
And the thing
Yes.
is, like, as far as her and I are concerned, we are expected to grow together.
Mhm.
And a part of that growth together is, yes, we grow individually, but we grow together in our thinking. No, I don't think the way I thought 10 years ago.
Right.
And I think a lot of times people tend to get in their own way, and this is just me and this is my attitude, and it's like, nah, you got to change some of that, especially if you're
Mhm.
gonna be in a
Mhm.
partnership, and that's with any
Any
type of
relation,
relationship.
right.
Mhm.
I mean, because you have to like that person to want
Mhm.
to be around them. I mean,
Mhm.
that's just the core of it. Like,
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yep. Ideally, yeah.
Yep.
Love it.
So if y'all had like, I mean, you're dropping gold everywhere, but and if you had like one key piece of advice or words of wisdom for people who want to create their own next level love, what would it be? What is like the thing that you want people to take away from being in your energy?
Um, Work on liking each other.
yeah,
Mm.
It really does. That's where the effort is. If you think about,
Mhm.
even when people say, you need date nights and you need this, well, I have to like you to enjoy that.
yep,
And
Yes.
if you work on liking each other, and that comes with making sure going into it you're with the right person,
Mhm. Mhm.
compatible person. But from there, you work on liking each other.
I can't like you, and I'm gonna speak for the ladies. I can't like you if there's a young lady I text my mate and be like, hey, I forgot to get gas. I need gas tomorrow. Would you mind getting me some? No, you can get your own gas.
Like those things that,
When you have those type
right,
of attitudes,
Mhm.
it just
It's hard to
mean
like someone.
right.
to me the little things add up. So it's like
Yes.
you do those little things,
Mhm.
and those little things create those building blocks to have a foundational relationship. She knows. I mean, I almost hate to that she has to get her own gas. I'm just old school. You know what I'm saying? I was raised by some old school men. We together. I get out and I pump the gas.
Mhm.
I might just look at her tank and we're riding around. I know she got to go to work that day. She'd be like, "Where we going? We're going to the gas station. We got
Mhm.
work this week." You know what I'm saying? It's just those little things just add up. Over time, it creates that. Where she feels safe.
Right,
She feels protected. She
right.
feels like, okay, even in those little things, I have your back. And it's not
Mhm.
hard. It's just making the decision and being intentional that you're going to
Yes.
make sure that,
Yeah.
because I'm always like, I just want to make sure that if anything happened to us, she can't say that
Right,
I wasn't 100%. You know what
right,
I'm
right,
saying?
right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Those little investments that you're talking
Yes.
about really matter, and they really
Yeah.
add up to so much.
Well, and
I
sorry,
love that.
I interrupted you, baby. Okay. I was
Nope.
gonna
Go ahead.
say, you named like work on
I was done.
liking each other,
Mhm.
but and one of the things that I hear you really talking about is like the intention is becoming someone who your partner will like.
Right,
Yes.
Right?
right.
Yes.
Like, not just like, I have to force myself to like you when I don't really like you right now. I mean,
Mhm.
sometimes that's part of the work, right?
Right.
It's like part of us is like, I don't feel like I like you really much right now, and we have to work
Right,
through that
right,
and remember that we do like that person.
right.
But a lot of it is like, how do we grow and how do we show up and how do we step up
Mhm,
and
mhm.
be the kind of partner that our spouse or our significant other likes by being kind, by filling their gas tank, by tying their shoe, by
Yeah.
Mhm.
mowing the lawn,
Right.
when we're down.
Right.
So the ultimate gauge of that is when I can look at him and say, I don't like you very much right now.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
that happened recently, I think.
Mhm.
Actually, he looked at me and he said, you don't like me very much right now. Nope.
Yep.
But that's because we have the connection and the friendship and the foundation there that
Yes.
I can say that honestly. We can discuss whatever the issue is and then we get back on track.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of times people in relationships will say, well, my spouse is my spouse, but I have a best friend. And
Mm.
that's fine. Do what works for you.
Mhm.
But think about the nurturing that goes into that relationship with your best friend.
Right.
You think about the way that you speak up for that friend, and the way that you want to maintain that friendship, and you're trying to prove that that friendship is like, you should do the same thing with your relationship with your spouse. So for us, that's just we continue to work on that foundation and liking each other and getting closer as friends.
Yep.
Mhm.
We have individual hobbies, but when we have the ability to spend time together, we spend time together.
Mhm.
We don't necessarily, I was looking at something and people said, I need my space. And I get it. I am very introverted. A lot of times when I get home, I'm all peopled out,
Mhm.
but he doesn't drain me. If
Right.
anything, he fortifies me, because
Yes.
we can sit in a room and we don't have to talk. We
Yeah.
don't have to engage, through that. We're sitting there. He's doing his thing. I'm doing my thing. We have Dateline on, and all is well in the world.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, we
because
love
he's there, that, like I said, that fortifies me.
Energizes you,
Right.
we
recharges.
we love
Absolutely.
we love those crime dramas, like Dateline TV shows, real. I always mess with them until I say, look, you ever think, wake up one day and be like, I think I want to kill this dude. Tell me, I'm leaving. You ain't have to.
Insane.
You don't have to kill me to get rid of me. I would just
Right.
walk
I'll
out the
leave.
door,
Uh,
be with somebody else to say,
If you get to that point, I'll
I'm gonna
leave.
fight for you until you say I'm thinking about murdering you. Have everything. I'm gonna go over here and sleep on somebody's couch.
somehow, I think you're probably not headed in that
No,
trajectory.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But good to know you got a plan. It's good to know.
Yes. Right. You know where the line is.
Right, yeah. Murder is the one.
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, like what I love this perspective. Like is so simple, yet it says so much. Like there's so much richness in this idea of just doing the work to make sure that we still like each other, to like put in the effort to like my partner, to be likable to my partner, to make things easier for my partner, to so that, like so that they can feel safe and energized, and like this relationship is a sanctuary,
Mhm.
But
like a home base.
Yes.
also, I'm hearing that you have to also like yourself, right? So it's
Yes.
not that you've
Mm,
completely lost your own identity in each
mhm,
other. You have some of
Right.
your own interests and are doing things that like help to fill your own cup when
Mhm.
things line up differently, right?
Right.
You're still
Right.
prioritizing liking yourself in addition to liking each other.
Right.
Yes,
And
definitely.
that's been a struggle for me, but in time I have grown, and I have gotten therapy, and I'm starting to like me a little bit more. Um, but that's taken time, and thankfully I have a partner who has been there with me and supported
mm,
me through that, because there are times that he could have said, this is too much for me.
mhm,
Yeah.
There.
Grace is another word that I like too. Giving your partner grace, because
mm,
it's fastest thing people do is break up and leave. Well, I did all this. My thing is, you're gonna have to go through the same thing, if not probably more, with someone else
Mhm.
yep,
you like to be in a relationship. So it's not why not work on this one that you have. Give that person grace to know. You tell it's if you people try to assume that the one thing you don't want to do is be like, well, you should know me by now.
Right.
Mhm.
I'm a reader. So
Right.
Mhm.
tell me
Mhm.
what you need. Tell me what you desire. What do you need right now in this moment?
Right.
Yeah.
And if you tell me that and give me the opportunity to work on that, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people just, well, we're married and that's just it.
Right.
No, you don't put your money in the bank and not look at it.
Mhm.
Your investments. You watch your stocks. You pay attention to that. And the time you put in your marriage, that's your investment in your happiness.
Mhm.
Because your happiness is based on their happiness.
Right.
Exactly.
Bottom line.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yep. And there's a piece around that you're speaking to, Byron, around this mind reading that is like I can't help you be happy if you don't tell me what you need to be happy. So
Right.
it's like and we talk about this a lot with our couples too, in recognition of the way that our happiness is tied together.
Mhm.
We each need to take responsibility, right? For like letting our partner know what's going to help us be happy,
Mhm.
doing our work to be happy ourselves, because we can't ask our partner to hold full responsibility for our happiness and well-being,
Right.
and, and like not even tell them what they could do to help us feel happier,
Right. It
Right.
doesn't set
right?
anyone up for success.
No,
Right.
not at
Yeah,
all. Right.
exactly.
And then doing doing your part in that also,
Mhm.
recognizing that your partner can't make you 100% happy without putting in your piece as well. So
Mhm.
um, that was up to me, and I did really well with a lot of it on my own,
Mhm.
and I think we would have been okay.
Mhm.
But once I started therapy, it went from surviving to thriving. It
Yeah.
went,
Yeah.
existing to living,
Yeah.
and being able to see things from the standpoint, like see things outside of me.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Going from this has happened to me to this thing happened, as
Mhm.
opposed to something that I have brought on myself, or what
Mhm.
have you.
And then the funny thing about it is, she would talk about, some of her sessions. And I would be sitting up there thinking, well, damn, this shit happened to me.
I bet.
So I'm repressed. It's stuff that I've repressed, memories that I've repressed. So we've been able to talk about those things, and having that commonality. With this, yeah, that did happen to me. Wow, I didn't realize that is what it was. So, being able to discuss those things, and it also gives me the ability to say, okay, I understand. It's
Mhm.
not that she is mad at me.
Right.
It is she's been triggered,
Yeah.
Mhm.
by
Mhm.
Yeah.
something that happened. So I need to step back, not take offense to it, and get all of
Yeah.
my underwear about,
Mhm.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It just is what it is, and
Yeah.
we've adapted. Well, I've adapted to behaviors over the years by her, and she's been able to come to me and be like, look, this is what was really going on at that time.
Mhm.
And then, of course, in the beginning it was hard. I was like, dang, what I do?
Mhm.
Dang,
Yeah.
I'm the bomb. I mean,
Yeah, you are.
why is you mad at me?
Oh,
Just
bless
kidding.
Love it.
Yeah. I think this is so important what the two of you are saying. And it goes back to this, like, if you're not growing and evolving,
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
something's wrong. There's a problem here.
Right.
And what you're really illustrating in sharing, and thank you, Margaret, for sharing about some of your therapy journey, but it's like that when we take responsibility for our own healing journeys, our own personal growth journeys,
Mhm.
and loop our partner into that growth,
Mhm.
but like by sharing what we're growing in, what we're learning about ourselves, helping as we gain more self-awareness, being
Mhm.
able to share that with their partners so they can know us as we know ourselves,
Mhm.
right? Then even though it's like just you going to therapy, you're both being lifted up from it.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
You're both growing together. Your relationship is evolving together. And
Mhm.
it's not like, you're necessarily doing more work than Byron Margaret. You're just taking responsibility for your own work.
Right.
And Byron, you're like taking an interest in it
Mhm.
and
Yes.
allowing how Margaret is growing to affect how you're seeing yourself and what you're learning about yourself. You're allowing her to be a teacher
Yep.
and a mirror for your own stuff, which is supporting your growth. And this is how we keep leveling up together,
Yes.
Mhm.
which is a really important shift away from hoping that our partner just like heals us or fills the holes or
Reads
fills
our mind and figures
or
out what we need. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
yes,
Yep.
And
yes.
that's the thing. We've supported each other. And he had his father passed away right before his 48th birthday.
Oh, I'm
And
sorry.
so coming up to his 48th birthday, he started having some anxiety and having some issues, and he went to therapy himself.
Yeah,
Um,
great.
so the recognition of, like you say, the recognition of I need to get support for this. Of course, that's going to make me a better individual, and if
Yep.
I'm a better individual, then I'm a better partner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then too with the therapy, it also allowed us to be able to see some things, and then now we can talk about the past and be
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
well, I thought you meant this,
Right.
and then we can actually
Clarity.
talk about we
Right.
argued about peanut butter. It's like, come on, it wasn't a peanut butter. It was something. It was something that triggered.
Mhm.
And it's like being able to laugh at some of those things. Like, man, well, we made it through that.
Yep.
So that it helps us, and that helps us grow closer also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times when there's a situation, everybody gets on the defensive. Well, what did
Mhm.
I, what did I do?
Mhm.
Not necessarily always something that you did. It's just you've triggered an emotion,
Mm-hmm.
and that emotion is just displaying itself right now. And so, why am I going to get upset that you're upset about
Mm-hmm.
something that triggered you? And it's like
Mhm.
that's
Which
not being supportive.
in the moment,
Uh-huh. In the moment it happens.
though,
Mhm.
why
It
are you
can.
not upset? Don't look at me and not
Look,
frown.
I'm about to go out here and work on this.
That's-
I'm going to
Mhm.
my tool shed. I'm gonna save my scar, and I'm gonna think. I'm gonna let you cool down. You just have some cool down spots. You know what I mean? You got to
Yeah.
break away from each other for a minute. Hey, give me about 30 minutes. I'm gonna go out in the shop. I'm gonna
Mhm.
work on this project, and I will talk to you later. Because right now we ain't gonna solve nothing.
Yep. Yeah, that is really important awareness and skill. Yeah. Well, like, I'm jumping in again. Cal, do you want to say something? I feel like I want to just
No, I was just being aware of time.
uh when Cal and I get to be in the same room, we
I
can
can
we
usually
have a
meet her.
well, yeah, he just like nudges me with his knee if I'm talking
Mhm.
too much or um
It's more around time. I
This,
usually
or
know
if he wants to say something, we pick up on it
or
better. But
that too. Yeah.
yeah, I'm aware of time. And I want to just like acknowledge that in 26 years, y'all have clearly learned a lot, right?
Mhm.
And every challenge that you've gotten through from big to small has like solidified this foundation of trust and friendship,
yes,
right? It has resulted in your growth and expansion as people and as a couple. And one of the things that we personally believe is that we're never done. Like
no,
we're always growing. So as we kind of wrap up the conversation, can you just say a little bit about, what like continued growth journey is for the two of you? Like what's next? What is the, like, we have this next level of, and we're still learning or growing here.
Mhm.
Would you be open to sharing about that?
I think that throughout the years we've learned that communication is twofold,
Yeah.
and I was really good with the speaking, writing, getting it out part.
Mm-hmm.
He was really good with the listening part.
Mm-hmm.
And so over the past year or so, we've had to work on strengthening, and we're continuing to work on strengthening the weakness. So
Yes.
I've had to learn to be a
Mm-hmm.
better listener, and he is learning to speak up more.
Yes.
Um, and we in starting our podcast, we see each other in a different light. So
Mhm.
we're working together, we're creating together, we're learning these new skills together, and so of course that brings us closer,
Mm-hmm.
a higher level of respect for the talents that we have.
Yes.
Mhm.
But it also opens the door for conflict. So there again, those communication skills, working on being good listeners and being good talkers, and
Mm-hmm.
being
Yeah.
able to share those things. So that's my thing, is the working on being a really good listener,
Mm-hmm.
listening to actually hear what's being said,
Yes.
and to
Yeah,
understand.
not listening to respond.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times when you listen to respond, you just get this little bit in, get this little bit in.
Mhm.
Because I'm gonna tell you something in about 5 seconds. You just shut up. For me to tell it. And you, and then next thing you know, 3 months down the line, you're arguing about the same thing, and it's
Mhm.
like, well,
Yep.
you didn't learn anything before, and it's
Mm-hmm.
and there again, it's being intentional about wanting to learn to listen, and we've been having a conversation for almost 50 minutes, and we seem like we got it together. We'll have our spouse every now and then. We'll have our misunderstandings still. We had one last week, and I mean, we went a day without talking to each other. Well, you ain't gonna say nothing to me. All right, well,
Mm-hmm.
going to work. Bye. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
What with each other, it's that's the reality of it. It's
Yes.
it's like a roller coaster. You have
Yep.
ups and downs, and it's like you just ride whatever wave that's going to work for you. And when you learn to, I'm big on analogies.
Mm-hmm.
So you know how the roller coaster, you get that first big hill, and then
Mm-hmm.
stuff is just like after you get down that first big hill, it's like, oh, you're just excited, but that first bit, it takes your stomach away. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
towards the end of the ride, the hills get a little smaller.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
you learn, okay, well, I learned how to manage through this relationship. Those battles just get smaller, and
Yeah.
they just get smaller.
Yep. Smaller, less intense, less terrifying.
Right.
Not
Absolutely.
3 days to, we'll be all right in about an hour.
Yep.
You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? And that's just,
Exactly.
and you just have to deal with those things.
Mhm.
That's just it.
If the relationship is important to you,
Mhm.
then you are going to want to, because this is, I don't have time for you to be mad at me. We getting up and in.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? We got friends leaving here. Ain't got time
Uh,
to
Yep.
be mad for 2 or 3 days, and then the last thing I said to you was,
Yep.
I don't want to hear to shut up. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
So it's
Yeah.
just,
I don't have time for that.
yeah,
Mhm.
Or energy.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I love that. It's and it's a really like important meta perspective for people to have, right? Like that, like next level love doesn't mean that you never have disagreements or conflicts.
Mhm.
But it means that like that they're fewer, far between,
Mhm.
smaller, less intense, quicker recovery, and you're not so afraid of them. They don't
Right.
become such a big
Right.
deal.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, if you're when you're having that, if you think like we're not supposed to, this is a big
Right.
deal, then
Yeah, yeah,
start to
Right.
feel like things are that this isn't normal and that this isn't
Mhm.
good. And I love normalizing that, like, yeah, even couples with really amazing relationships, ourselves
Mhm.
included, we're helping other couples. Like we still struggle sometimes, we still fight sometimes, we still have growth to do. And that's part of the reality. And again, part of the gift, because then we're always growing and expanding.
Right. Right.
And
The
I'll
practice.
expound on that and say, if you are not, I'm not gonna say arguing, but if you're not having deep discussions
Conflict.
or
Mhm.
conflicts, at least every blue moon, then you're not being real. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
You're not dealing. You're just kicking the can down
Going
the
through
road.
the
So to speak.
motions.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Building resentment.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Yep.
Wow. Listen, this has been fabulous. There's just like so much great stuff in this. I feel like I want to go through my notes because I take notes, and like consolidate them all and like put
We
out
already
an
consolidated.
LDR for people because like I want people to know what you have shared. It's so great. So as we wrap up, I would love for you all to share a little bit about how people can be in touch with you or get a hold of your resources, or if there's any kind of offerings that you have right now for folks who feel a resonance with the two of you and might want to benefit more from your wisdom and what you're doing in the world.
Okay. So our website is www.beyondidopodcast.com. And we're also on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube at Beyond I Do Podcast. Our book is available on Amazon, and it's available the Kindle version and also the soft cover. And in January, we will launch our coaching business, and we are starting with new couples who have been married 5 years or less, or engaged couples. And our program will be based on the book. So we're
Oh, that's
excited about
great.
that.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's a really great niche because you're going to help people start off on the right foot, start off
Right.
strong so they can
Right.
continue for a lifetime and not already have 20 years of hardship to work through.
Yes. And we also we almost forget about this tool all the time, but we can also be emailed at admin@beyondidopodcast.com.
Right.
Admin at
Yes.
Yes.
Beyond I Do Podcast.
Yes.
I'm putting in the chat.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay. Yes. Awesome. So y'all who are listening and tuning in, if you have only been together for 5 years, or if you're engaged to get married, 5 years or less,
Hmm.
you want to set your relationship up for tremendous success, and Byron and Margaret feel like they are your people because they're amazing, please check out their website, send them an email. Links are in the chat. Pick up their book and keep an eye out on January. Mark your calendar so you can get in when they launch this amazing coaching program that I know is going to change lives for generations. So thank you so much for the gift of your time and your wisdom and your love. It's just been such a joy to connect with you both. And I just feel so warm and fuzzy and happy for all of the people who hopefully take some time to tune into this and feel inspired, get inspired about who they can be and what they can create in their lives too.
you. Yes.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you. And
having
thanks for
us.
having
We've
us.
enjoyed it.
Yes.
We've enjoyed it.
We love love, and we just
Yeah, me too.
love. That's I think love heals everything.
Mhm.
And experience true love.
Mhm.
That's a life worth living.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And with that, we'll see y'all later.